Good evening. Today is January 14th, 2025. The time is now 7 p.m. Welcome to the San Marino Unified School District Board of Education meeting. Here's our board president, Joseph Chang.
Thank you. Before I conduct the tonight open section, I have one report for the closed section. The Board of Education took a unanimous action in the closed section to approve the appeal in the case entitled Escamilla against the San Marino Unified School District. Okay, call to the order. I would like to do a roll call. Mr. Song. Aye. Mrs. Ryan.
Aye.
Mrs. Gear.
Here.
Mr. Chen here. Student board member, Ms. Ta.
Here.
Thank you. I'd like to turn it over to the Dr. Nina Richter to introduce our student who is leading us in the pledge of allegiance.
Thank you, President Chang. This evening, we are excited and very pleased to introduce an outstanding fifth grade Valentine Viking, Lucy Pastor, to lead the board in the salute to the flag and share a little bit about herself and her school and introduce any guests that she has here to support her. Lucy, welcome and thank you for being here.
So I'm going to say, okay. Good evening. I would like to extend a warm welcome to Superintendent Dr. De La Torre, Board President Chang, distinguished board members, the executive team, and all those in attendance tonight. My name is Lucy Pastor, and I'm a fifth grade Viking at Valentine Elementary School. I am joined here by my principal, Mrs. McAlpine, my teacher, Mrs. Wildman, and my mother, father, and little sister, Peggy. I first want to say how happy I am that we are back here at school this week after being closed for a few days because of the Eaton fire. It was a very difficult time for many in our community, but I'm really proud of how our school came together to support those who were affected. From collecting donations to checking in on one another, it really shows the heart of Valentine and how much we care about each other. I want to thank our principal, teachers, staff, and everyone who worked hard to keep us safe and help us return to school so quickly. In the past 5 months, all the Vikings have been doing many fun activities here at Valentine. The winter musical was on the 19th of December. TK, Kinder, 1st, 2nd, and 5th grade participated in the show. The 5th grade performed the song Let There Be Peace on Earth, which has been a tradition for over 3 decades. Other fun learning activities that the Vikings have been doing recently are Professor Egghead's STEM lessons. So far, we have had 2 classes. Recently, Mrs. Wildman's class experimented with cleaning water by making water filtration models. Finally, we had our Veterans Day Assembly. We sang patriotic songs to honor our country, including Your Grand Old Flag and This Land Is Your Land. After that, we had a ceremony to honor all of the veterans that were related to Viking students. At Valentine Elementary, we have many fun activities and opportunities for students. As we continue the year in 2025, we will go on many field trips and have a few assemblies. During Lunar New Year, we will all gather on the blacktop to enjoy an assembly. You are all invited, and we would love to have you attend. Many Valentine families celebrate this festive holiday. Arts Rock will be a very fun field trip to the high school for 5th graders. While we are there, we will learn about all of the fun visual and performing arts classes that are available. Colonial Day is also an activity that I am looking forward to in 5th grade. We will do many crafts representing the colonial times and have lunch. This fun day will take place in the little theater and courtyard. Valentine is also holding its first multicultural night this year, and students get to set up a table and share about their culture or a culture or country they have learned about. It will be a great night to celebrate the different cultures around us and learn about the special things in each culture as well. As a fifth grader at Valentine, I have many events to look forward to as I continue the year in 2025. Tonight, as I welcome you to San Marino Unified School District Board meeting, I would like to pay our respect to our country and our flag. Please join us as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand quietly and respectfully. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Merci, thank you.
Your mother and your teacher have taught you very well. It is clear to me that you have a career in the future in public speaking. You did an outstanding job, and we're also very proud of you. And thank you so much for giving us that lovely report on what it's like to be a student at Valentine Elementary School. In addition to that, leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance, we have a certificate for you. And I'm going to ask that we take a picture, the Board of Education, and then we're going to invite your family to come up and take a picture with you as well. And your principal. So first it's just the board. Let me present you with your certificate. It reads, this certificate is proudly presented to Lucy Pastor in sincere appreciation for leading the Board of Education in the Pledge of Allegiance after the regularly scheduled meeting held on January 14, 2025. And it's signed by the superintendent and the board president. Okay. Now can we get teacher, parents, little sister, and principal? Yeah. So get here. We'll let the parents.
Yes. Know what it is? Okay.
Yes. There we go. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Lucy, great job.
Thank you too.
To see you full circle. Swiss Keyless Cure. Yeah.
Oh, that's.
Okay, next, be approvable agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda? Do I have
Second.
a second?
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Song,
Aye.
Mrs. Ryan,
Aye.
Mrs. Gill, Mr. Chen, I, and Stephen Ball, Ms. Ta. Motion carry. Next, she approve of minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the December 10, 2024 meeting minutes?
Move to approve.
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Song,
Aye.
Mrs. Ryan,
Aye.
Mrs. Gill,
Aye.
Mr. Chen, I, and Ms. Ta. Motion carry. Next, 7, public comment. The Board of Education has adopted Board Policy 9323B to ensure the public's right to be heard in any matter pertaining to the San Marino Unified School District. Person who wish to provide a public comment will have 3 options to submit public comment. First one, submit through an online form.
There were no comments submitted for today.
Okay. And the second, request to speak during the meeting via the Zoom.
We do have members online. Yep.
Okay.
All right.
So we'll give them 1 minute to as to speak. Communications from the audience regarding matters not on the agenda or items in the consent or information sections, please provide your comments now. For items in the action section of the agenda, please provide your comments prior to the board beginning discussion on those items. If you would like to request to speak during the meeting, please press the raise hand icon to make a request. If you're calling in from home, please dial *9 to make a request or submit a public comment card. There is 30 seconds left. We have no requests to speak.
No request? Okay, thank you. Third, request to speak during the meeting in person via the public comment card. Do we have any?
We have no cards submitted this evening.
Okay, thank you. Next, 8, San Marino Unified School District Spotlight. I'd like to turn it over to the principal Wall, who will introduce a exceptional student athlete, Ms. Kayla Eaton.
Thank you, President Chang, Superintendent Delatorre, members of the board and cabinet. I'm thrilled to be able to introduce Kayla Giddings tonight. She is the kind of the poster child of the student athlete. She plays 4 sports: cross country, track, soccer, and softball. And one of the main reasons we're here tonight is Kayla is the first female cross country runner and since 2012 to make it to the state championships for San Marino. While she was at the state championships, she finished 35th out of 202 runners. She is the only Titan to have ever been named the San Gabriel Valley Athlete of the Year. And while doing all of this and playing 4 sports, she is taking 4 advanced placement courses this year, and she has a GPA of 4.02. So let's have a big congratulations for Kayla.
Okay, is that it?
Yep.
All right, okay. Okay, just want to make sure I wasn't interrupting you. It is so impressive, Kayla, just the accomplishments that you've been able to, bestow on not only your wonderful family, but the high school. I mean, we are so incredibly proud of you and all that you've been able to do, not only as a student athlete, but as a student as well. So obviously you haven't compromised your scholarly accomplishments for your athleticism. And that is very clear. So you are an amazing student. You really represent our high school and our community well, and we're exceedingly proud of you. So if you wouldn't mind coming up here with your dad, we're gonna take a picture with the board. Woo, and I'm gonna give you the certificate. Oh, I'm virgin.
Yeah.
And you've been here before, and you've gone here before, so you're just so amazing and so incredible, and I wanted to read this certificate to you. This certificate is proudly presented to Ms. Kayla Giddings in honor of your exceptional and significant athletic accomplishments. Your dedication, perseverance, and outstanding performance have brought pride and inspiration to our school and our community. We celebrate your achievements and wish you continued success in all of your future endeavors. You're welcome. We are very proud of you. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry, Dr. Wolf. I forgot.
I'm taking the pictures.
Yeah, you just get a picture. Yeah, we're here. Good to see you.
The one portion of the play.
I have practice like.
Right.
It's the same thing with soccer. I couldn't get around.
But she was, she good. So Dan, if you'd like to give your phone to him, he can take a picture of you in the picture. With everybody.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm the youngest one.
the baby.
I'm the baby. I think but yeah. I the reveal.
I'm not invited, so.
I don't, I didn't know you, I didn't know he was getting engaged. He didn't tell me until like.
Boys.
He didn't tell the brothers. But yeah.
You're not kidding.
Yeah.
Your own.
My mom's name.
It's impressive.
It's
Yes, they do. They're playing,
Right?
I see you. On the way.
and then there was one.
Oh, they have a younger one?
Okay,
Ah, they do.
let's continue. Nine consent section. Do I have a motion to approve the consent section
So
from
moved.
9A through
So,
9H?
okay, so move. 9A to 9H.
Roll call, Mr. Song, Mrs. Ryan,
I.
Mrs. Dam, no, not here, absent. Mrs. Gear, Mr. Chen, I, and the student board member, Ms. Ta. Thank you. The 10 communication section, A, communication from the Board of Education. We ask that each board member take no more than 2 to 3 minutes to share their communication and activity. Okay, start from the Mr. Song.
Okay. Hi. So yeah, before the break, though, I got a chance to go to HMS Orchestra. My son was happened to be playing the viola. It was amazing that how everybody played together as a one. The music, the so many instruments, but they play together, but they try to combine that as a one single sound, and it was just amazing that how kid can be the things. I never been to the orchestra like in general, but this is first time I get to participate it, and I really loved it, and I think I'm gonna start to attend every single one of them for sure. And after long break, and I know that we had a fire, and we have the. I happened to come here on the Sunday to help out the San Marino Foundation, collecting the donations, and we have so much donations. So now they overfill with this ballroom with all the clothing in there. It was just amazing that how many people care about the community, and I really appreciate everybody and that we kind of working hard and get it through with it.
Thank you. And Mrs. Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chang. This evening, I wanted to read some of my thoughts instead of reporting out what I've been doing. I really wanted to just thank our brave emergency responders. On behalf of myself, my family, the school board, cabinet, and the entire San Marino community, I want to just express my deepest gratitude for your tireless efforts in responding to the recent wildfires in Southern California. Your courage, dedication, and selflessness are truly awe-inspiring. While many of us sought safety, you ran toward the danger, putting your lives on the line to protect our homes, loved ones, and cherished landscapes. Your unwavering commitment to ensuring our safety during these challenging times does not go unnoticed. To the firefighters, police officers, paramedics, dispatchers, and volunteers, I'm sure I've forgotten a few, but thank you for the countless hours you've spent battling flames, assisting evacuees, coordinating efforts to minimize destruction. Your work is not just heroic, it's life-saving and deeply appreciated. Please know that your bravery and sacrifice have made an immeasurable difference in our lives. We are endlessly grateful for all that you do to protect and serve our communities. With heartfelt thanks on behalf of the school board, Shelley Ryan.
Thank you so much. Yeah, bring this message. Yeah. Okay, next, Mrs. Gear.
I echo what Mrs. Ryan says in our gratitude for the first responders. And I wanted to touch on our own direct impact on this event. I just wanted to thank the exec team for being so amazing. You guys were so prepared and you communicated, I mean, constant communication with President Chang and myself. And we got these kids back, you know, when it was safe to do so. And it was amazing. We were so fortunate to have the maintenance team that we have. President Chang and I got up at 6 a.m. on Monday and with Dr. Choi and Dr. De La Torre to provide them breakfast to show our appreciation. And additionally, each one of the board members attended a different school site to just show our moral support and thank our teachers directly since they came in earlier than the students. It was just incredible. And just hearing everybody's story, every single person has been impacted, if not directly, you know, somebody personally, like a good acquaintance or a good friend, a family member. And it's just awe-inspiring to see people work together, pull together, and, you know, have that joint experience and trauma, but turning it into something somewhat positive. So thank you guys. And ironically, well, not ironically, but just before break, there was a safety meeting. And, you know, everyone, all the site principals, you know, presented the status and their plans, and, you know, police were here in the fire. And, you know, we were so prepared to see that there's plans into action was just, it's just really comforting as a parent and a board member. So thank you. That's it.
Okay, as a board president, officially, I just want to deliver a appreciation message as my two board member already mentioned, but I just one more time to thanks for all the San Marino Unified School District from the executive board, executive staff, and the teacher and for local school site principal, and also student and the parent. I think in our community, we are not directly get her impact, but it's very important. Yeah, after storm and the fire, there's the public health issue. Yeah, we need to clean up, and I am being very touched. You know, our maintenance crew, they can within the limited time, you know, they can ready for students go back to the classroom. Thank you. And besides that, the Monday morning, the first day, the student they come back. I also went to the San Marino High School and cover school. I see the student they can come back, and I think everyone with the smile. I think this the achievement. I think is the great leadership from the Dr. Territory and also executive staff. Yeah, thank you. And that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Chang.
And next, be communication from the student board member.
Thank you. So this Sunday was the high school's football banquet at the San Gabriel Country Club. And on Monday, the high school had a crisis counselor on campus to support students who are in need of assistance for the fires and evacuations, to talk about how they're feeling and stuff. And this Thursday, the middle school will have an 8th grade parent Zoom meeting with the SMHS counselors. And on Friday, the 8th graders will be going to the high school to have their move-up day. And the 8th graders will also have their ASB freshman elections for the next school year on Friday. Next Wednesday, Carver's 4th graders will go on a field trip to Descansa Gardens, and the 1st graders have a field trip to Discovery Cube. Next Friday, Carver and Valentine will have their Lunar New Year celebration, and the middle school will have their 6th grade dance. That's it.
Thank you. Next, I see communication from the superintendent, Dr. Directori.
Thank you, President Chang, members of the board, executive team, student board member. I am very pleased to report that we are continuing the good work of pushing on our next steps for Measure M. One of the things that we did recently was we sent out an RFQ for a bond consultant. And that deadline has not yet closed. So we're excited to see those applications coming in. We've had several inquiries into that, as Dr. Choi has reported. So we're really excited. There's a number of other key consultants that we're going to be looking to secure. And we're going to be looking at a facilities grant funding consultant. We will be looking at architectural firms, inspection firms. We're going to be looking at construction and or program management firms, CEQA consultant, geotechnical services consultant. And we're also going to be looking at, again, our state funding eligibility per site. As you will recall, Prop 2 was successful in passing, along with Measure M, that's the statewide bond. And we are very interested in making sure that we have documentation on plans that have been have gone through the DSA process that we can send for in for reimbursement for matching money to the state. And so we're looking at two categories. One is modernization eligibility and the next is new construction eligibility. And that amount changes based on a variety of factors. So we need to continue to work with schools facility consultants to get the updated figures as we move forward in this process. None of this will happen until the Board of Education actually seats an oversight committee, which they're working on. And I know President Chang and Vice President Gill will be reporting on that a little later on the agenda. So I'm not going to go into the details of that. Except to say that they have 60 days from the date the vote to pass the measure was certified. So they have until February 10th to seat the oversight committee. And we're really looking forward to that process of getting that done. We will also be paying close attention to our facilities master plan. That is really going to guide the work that we do on Measure M district-wide. So we'll be reviewing and updating the existing facilities master plan to reflect the district's current goals. We'll be meeting with and talking with the Board of Education to prioritize projects, considering the following: number of students impacted, safety and security of all 4 of our campuses, the infrastructure that needs to be addressed, community and district interest in the projects that we are putting forward, and then of course, state funding eligibility. In addition to that, we're looking at the project logistics, and all of that is going to be explained in full detail to the Board of Education. And the Board of Education will be guiding the district and making the decisions on what we actually prioritize. And the timeline on the projects, of course, will be brought forward by all of our consultants in our construction manager position, which has yet to be filled. So we're excited about this. We're so grateful to our wonderful community for supporting Measure M. We're going to put that money to work as quickly as we can. And even though we have been dealing with the horrific consequences of the Eaton fire in our area and the windstorm and the damage that resulted from that windstorm, we still are moving forward with the timeline that we had in place for Measure M. We have not yet missed a timeline, and so we're still okay with respect to that, and we're excited to bring back information. One of the things that we will be doing is placing a standard agenda item on the information only section of the agenda for Measure M updates. And so you will start to see that on our board agenda at the next meeting, which will be on the 28th. So every meeting, we should have an update for you. If we don't, we will let you know. But we look forward to keeping not only our Board of Education fully apprised of our progress, but the community as well.
That's it?
That's it, because I have a lot to talk about with
Okay.
respect to the fire update, but that's a
Okay.
separate agenda item.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's go to the agenda 11 information item. 11A, Board Oversight Committee application update. Good evening, member of San Marino Unified School District Board of Education. I would like to take a moment to update you on the status of the subcommittee review of the application from citizens interested in serving on the San Marino Unified School District Bond Oversight Committee. As a reminder, Board Vice President Gear and I volunteered to represent a subcommittee of the board to review Board Oversight Committee application and make a recommendation to the board in order to sit the committee within the 60 days of the date of a bond election result are certified. This is an important task, and since one of our colleagues is absent tonight, we will wait to make a recommendation until the whole board is present to engage in the discussion and to make the appropriate appointment. The mission of the Bond Oversight Committee, or BOC, is to oversee the permissible and prudent expenditure of a fund allocated for the construction, repair, and modernization of our school. This committee exists to inform the public annually on how the bond revenue are utilized and to ensure that these funds are being spent in accordance with the law and for the intended purpose. To fulfill its responsibility, the BOC will first determine whether the district is using the bond money for the construction, reconstruction, rehabilitation, or replacement of a school facility, including the furnishing and equip of those facility, or for leasing property for school facility. Second, advise the public on whether the district is spending bond fund appropriately and not on the expenditure such as a teacher and administrator salary or other operation costs. Third, ensure that the district is spending the bond proceeds only on the specific school facility project that are presented to the public prior to the vote on the bond measure. Four, receive and review the copy of the annual independent performance audit to verify that the funds are allocated strictly to the project listed. Lastly, examine the annual independent financial audit of the bond sales proceeds until all the funds have been spent on the designated school facility project. In summary, the Education Code mandates the BOC to review and report on the use of bond money, ensuring that it's spent effectively and as promised by the voter. Tonight, I'm pleased to report that there was a very strong showing of interest as the district received 35 applications for the 7 available seats on the Bond Oversight Committee. The board will be selected individual from the 7 specific category to ensure a well-rounded representation. Here are the requirements for the membership. First, 1 member active in a business organization representing the business community in our district. Second, 1 member active in a senior citizen organization. Third, 1 member active in the bona fide taxpayers organization. 4, 1 member who is a parent or guardian of a child currently enrolled in the school district. Lastly, 1 member who is both parent or guardian of a enrolled child and active in the PTA organization. Additionally, we will also appoint 2 members in at-large community position. We appreciate the community's enthusiasm and the dedication to the participating in the Bond Oversight Committee application process. We look forward to the upcoming selection that will further enhance our district stewardship of a bond fund. Thank you to the Vice President Gear in helping to review the application. And I look forward to our continued collaboration in ensure the best for the student and the community. So that's my update tonight. So as I already mentioned, we would like to have a full board in discussion and also to approve. So let's look forward to waiting for the next school board meeting.
And we do want to thank all those 35 community members who took the time and who have some amazing qualifications that relate to what we're doing here. So thank you.
Okay, and for any question for the update or since you assigned to me and board Gear, is there anything comment or update?
No, just we wanted to make sure we thank the community for their support and their interest in supporting the bond and the oversight. And we want to thank you, Mr. Chang and Mrs. Gill, for your tireless efforts in getting our committee organized. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, because of the out of power only the 1 day, so we can smoothly.
You're reading the applications in the dark?
No, we're reading in here. Okay, Mr. Bo Song, you have any comment?
No, I really appreciate that you guys spending time. I mean, most time you guys spend, I can spend less time, so really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, with that, we just ending for this agenda, and then let's go to the 11B, recent fire devastation update. Dr. Territory.
Yes, thank you, President Chang, members of the board, executive committee, and our student board member. I'd like to provide just a brief update on the impact of the windstorm that took place last Tuesday evening and the subsequent Eaton fire to our school campuses, staff, students, as well as the steps that we've taken to ensure the safety and the well-being of our students, staff members, and community. In consultation with the board president and the board vice president, I made the decision to close schools on Wednesday due to unsafe conditions caused by hurricane strength winds, which we are not accustomed to in Southern California. This decision was based on reports of debris, fallen branches, uprooted trees, compromised air quality across the San Gabriel Valley. In addition to that, many people had lost power. I know our school district had lost power at all 4 schools and the district office for some time before that was able to be restored. In terms of damage assessment on Wednesday, I, along with our site principals and assistant principals and director of maintenance and operations, Mr. Gil Cardenas, walked each campus to assess the damage. K.L. Carver Elementary School was the most impacted and sustained the most damage. We had 2 small fires at Carver Elementary School that needed to be extinguished. One took place Tuesday evening and one took place Wednesday early in the morning. Both were extinguished in time so that they didn't spread and cause further damage. We really had no structural damage. One fire, small fire, took place as you enter the campus when you're going to drop off your child or pick up your child. On the left-hand side where the fence is, there were embers that apparently caused that area to ignite and start smoldering, and then flames ensued. Additionally, on the Carver campus, on the let's see, the west side of the campus, the southwest side of the campus by the fence, there was a small fire that started there, again caused by embers that were traveling from the Eaton fire. That was able to be extinguished very quickly, and we didn't see any major damage from that. We had large bushes that were very mature and established that were literally uprooted on the Carver campus. So landscaping that had been done, years ago was very disrupted by this windstorm. We had trees with heavy branches that fell. We had a lot of damaged trees that are going to require removal. At least 3 on the Carver campus that we're going to be looking at and contracting with a tree removal company to take care of. We had debris, we had leaves and branches strewn across the campus. It was unlike anything that I remember seeing. Even when I think back to the 2011 windstorm, which was horrific. We just had more trash and damage to the Carver campus than I had seen, even back then. Where the tennis courts I should say, there were shade structures that are no longer operational. So lots of damage there. We had roof tiles, so the Spanish style tiles that we have on the Carver rooftops. Many of them were either crushed due to large, heavy tree branches falling on the roof and crushing those tiles, or they were displaced and dislodged due to the strong winds. And it takes a lot to move heavy tiles like that. And it was really unusual to see that number of tiles dislodged and displaced as a result of the wind. We contracted with a professional tree trimming company that day to come and remove all of the loose branches and all of the branches that were strewn across our campuses. So they worked very hard to clean that up as expeditiously as possible. In addition to that, we had air quality concerns in this area. The Eaton fire exacerbated the situation, resulting in ash fall and extremely unhealthy air quality last week. So in order to prioritize the health of our students and staff, we kept schools closed through Friday, and that decision was again made in cooperation with our Board of Education. And I'd like to pause for a moment and just thank our board president and vice president and our board members for being available to me during that time, which really helped to facilitate that decision. Additionally, I was in contact with all of our neighboring superintendents just to talk through what they were thinking, what they were doing, and the actions that they were preparing to take. So we were pretty much all aligned in the decision to close schools Wednesday through Friday of last week. Community and staff impacts, I wanted to report to the board that during this time, it was important for us to determine what percentage of our workforce works in or around the evacuation zone. So we determined that 60% of our school district workforce lives either in or around the evacuated areas. And those evacuated zones were changing as the fire continued to spread. So we continued to look at that information and make decisions based on that. And Dr. Rose should be commended for his quick response to that. He was able to also conduct a survey of all of our employees to better understand the challenges that we're facing each one of our employees. So of the respondents, and we got about a 50% response rate, which is pretty typical in a crisis like this because not everyone had access to their email. Many had power out for several days. Some people still have power out. So we had 2 certificated employees that lost their homes entirely. We had several that were evacuated. One of my cabinet members hasn't been able to get back into her home this entire time, which has been very frustrating and difficult for her and her family to be displaced. But she continued to do the work and to be available. And I'm just impressed with her work ethic and her accessibility during this time. Many of our employees faced significant disruptions, and yet they committed to returning to work when we reopened. So I'm just so amazed at the dedication and the loyalty and the professionalism of our teachers, our school psychologists, our counselors. And I can't say enough good things about our principals during this time who really were on campus assessing the damage, cleaning up themselves, working alongside our custodial and maintenance staff to make sure that their campuses were going to be safe and secure and clean by the time we were ready to reopen schools. Our maintenance and operations department, as Vice President Gill mentioned earlier, they were here Wednesday through Friday, working in very unhealthy conditions, working, I mean, tirelessly to make sure that they mitigated any unsafe conditions that existed. They were, cleaning and raking and, getting rid of the branches, helping the tree company where they could, climbing up on the roofs and trying to get stuff back in order. I just can't tell you how hard they worked over those 3 days when it really wasn't safe for other people to be there. They stepped up and leaned in and got it done. So it was very nice of our board to be there for them when we came back on Monday, 6 a.m. We were in the maintenance office. And it was very nice. Our board provided burritos and donuts for them. And it's a small token of appreciation, but I think they felt the gratitude and they felt that we really cared enough about them. And it was very nice to have the board there for that. We also, I'm going to switch gears and talk about our students. We also have 5 families at San Marino High School whose homes burnt to the ground. And 4 of those students came to school when we reopened yesterday. So you talk about, having school as a priority, even when their life is in crisis. Yes. And I think schools are a safe place for kids. They really are. We have 2 families at Huntington Middle School that were similarly affected. Their homes were lost. And we have 1 at Valentine. So it is just so sad. And we are so grateful to our education partners, Schools Foundation, for providing supplies and articles of clothing, shoes, toiletries, whatever, people need, they made available at San Marino Community Center. And we were over there today and they had a lot of people in there sorting through things and getting things that they needed. And so it is really a very nice thing that the Schools Foundation is doing in a time of crisis. In terms of school reopening and attendance, I have to tell you, I'm so amazed. Our air quality was improving. We were monitoring it over the weekend. It continued to improve on Monday. And we made the decision to reopen. I'm pleased to report that we had an impressive 94% attendance rate district-wide, which some schools don't have on a typical day. So right after, this major crisis, 94% of our kids were in school, ready to learn. Same thing with employees. Our teachers were here. Everyone was here except for those that had a legitimate reason not to be here. So very good attendance. We were super concerned about that. We had 9 substitute teachers available to step in where needed if staff members couldn't return. Some of those subs were scheduled to be roving subs because Dr. Rose also secured crisis counselors through Health Advocate to be on staff to help our teachers, classified staff, counselors through this very disruptive time. So it was important to do that, and it was important to have a late start so that our teachers could come together and talk about the crisis and get through it, and also prepare for how they were going to receive our students. In addition to that, we needed the time for our custodial and maintenance department to come through one more time because ash continued to fall over the weekend. The wind patterns changed. We had ash in classrooms that needed to be cleaned out. We had ash on the playgrounds and in the corridors. And so our maintenance staff was trying to get rid of all of that so that when our students returned to school, it was a clean, healthy, safe place for them to be. Moving forward, our thoughts remain with those who have experienced loss or displacement. We are committed to providing support for all affected families and employees, and I will continue to coordinate with the Board of Education, principals, and staff to address any ongoing challenges. But I really want to thank my executive team for being available all throughout the weekend, late into the evening. They answered their phones, they texted me back, they were jumped on Zoom meetings. Whether it was, 10 o'clock at night during the week, Saturday in the afternoon, Sunday, morning, noon, and night. These 3 individuals, and one of them is on Zoom, he's at a conference in San Diego, so Dr. Rose is not able to be here, but these 3 individuals really stepped up and were the consummate professionals I know them to be, and helped us during a crisis get through. And we made decisions that I feel were in the best interest of our students, our staff, and our community. And I'm just so grateful for everyone coming together, from the Board of Education to our leadership team, to our principals, our assistant principals, to our teachers in the classroom on the front lines, our classified support staff, maintenance and operation, and food services who provided the breakfast very early in the morning on Monday. Everyone did what they were supposed to do, and everyone supported our students in the process. And I'm just so grateful to work in a community that's solution oriented, and to work for a Board of Education that is so caring and benevolent and dedicated to doing the best thing and the right thing for kids all the time. So thank you. And if you have any questions, I am more than happy to answer them. I know a lot of people have asked questions about whether or not we're going to be taking new students because Pasadena, as you know, has been very adversely affected by the Eaton fire. They've lost schools. I know there have been some private schools that have burned down in Pasadena, and those students are going to be looking for new places to be. However, in talking with the Pasadena superintendent, she is providing virtual or distance learning to all of her students who have been affected by the fire now. She plans to group kids who are residents of Pasadena, and their schools are no longer habitable. She plans to house them on other campuses. The private schools will need to go back to their district of residency. So if we have San Marino kids that are in private schools that have been affected by the fire and are no longer inhabitable, they can come back to San Marino. We'll re-enroll them right away. We also know that there may be families in San Marino who have invited their friends or relatives to move in with them because they've either lost their homes or they've been relocated temporarily. We will consider enrolling them if we have space. I mean, well, obviously, if they're living there, we have to take them, which we would, of course. If they're temporarily there, there are certainly things that we can look at to help provide support for those families. So at the elementary schools, we are very impacted with enrollment. At the middle and the high school, we do have some opportunity to try and help our neighbors to the extent that we can. So we're looking at what we can do. And I've asked Dr. Richter to look at our enrollment at each of the schools and to determine where space is available by grade level. And so she and her registrar, Claudia Velasquez, have been working very hard to collect that information. So we're in a good position to be able to review all the requests. And we have been receiving phone calls from many families. And
Yes, we've received approximately 9 so far.
yeah. So that's where we're at. I will say, I've talked to my colleagues in La Cañada, and La Cañada, 20 of their staff members lost their homes completely, 20. And so I heard today that one of our certificated employees at Carver who lost her home, she's going to be leasing a home in San Marino. So I was told that she's already taken care of that. And many of you know our former Assistant Superintendent of Business Services, Julie Boucher. She lives in Altadena and her house burned down to the ground. So she lost her home, and so we send her, our thoughts and prayers, and really sad. But she's going to live in San Marino too. So she was able to lease a home on Huntington Drive. So. Any questions from the Board of Education at this time?
And especially for the student board, from the student perspective, any doubt on the storm and the fire?
I know.
Even I know you guys are senior, and then for any doubt about college admission and go outside of California, or just stay to protect your land. So you want to share with us, or whatever you heard from your colleague.
What's the sentiment at school
Yeah.
about what's going on?
I know a lot of kids on social media, they're posting about like college acceptances. Like we have an account for that, and a lot of kids are also like, we have a lot of GoFundMe's for the kids who lost their houses in fires. And I know a lot of people are starting donations, and I think ASB right now, we're planning donations and sending them to foundations, I think. And I'm pretty sure, I haven't been at school yet, but I know that I think we're planning on sending the teacher something too. So I think that's really good because like we're all uniting together.
It's wonderful. Thank you for sharing.
Any comment on the board member? Okay, if not, then let's go to the 11C, first reading, board policy 615, independent study, Dr. Dina Richter.
Thank you, President Chang, members of the board, Student Board Member Ta, Superintendent Dr. Delatorre, and Executive Cabinet. Presented to you tonight is the first read for Board Policy 6158, Independent Study, which includes amendments pursuant to Senate Bill 153, which is also referred to as the 2024 Education Omnibus budget trailer bill for independent study program requirements. This evening, I will briefly highlight some recent updates to the independent study programs per Senate Bill 153. All other independent study program requirements reflected in Board Policy 6158 remain unchanged. First, average daily attendance, also known as ADA, is counted from a student's first day of independent study. This revises the prior rule that students must have participated for a minimum of 3 consecutive school days before their attendance was included in the district's ADA. Second, the independent study programs short-term independent study was expanded to be scheduled for 15 days or fewer instead of the previous schedule of 14 days or fewer. So it's extended 1 additional day. Similarly, independent study for long-term, which triggers additional programmatic requirements, was increased to programs scheduled for 16 days or more rather than the previously scheduled 15 days or more. Third, short-term independent study, the required written learning agreement or contracts can be signed at any time during the school year in which independent study takes place. For short-term independent study, staff asks that the board recommend maintaining the signing of these agreements or contracts prior to the commencement of short-term independent study, really to maintain the continuity and quality of learning for our students and all our diverse learners, as well as maintaining accurate attendance documentation. However, we understand that under certain circumstances for short-term independent study, this may not be the case and allowances may be made. For long-term independent study, written agreements must be signed before the commencement of the student's participation in the program. Fourth, the purpose of computing ADA, student work is expanded to include the daily time value spent by a student engaged in asynchronous instruction, regardless of whether work is produced, as long as a computer program documents the student participation. And this would include things such as iReady or iExcel. Additionally, districts are required to maintain documentation of each half hour or fraction of an hour for both students' work product and the time the student was engaged in asynchronous instruction. Also added to Board Policy 6158 is information delineating the applicable independent study minimum instructional minutes required for each school day. And as you can see, for each grade span, TK through 3 is 180 minutes, 4 through 8 is 230 minutes, 9 through 12 is 240 minutes. This first read is being presented to the board for review. Staff will bring this item back to the board with a recommendation for approval at the next regularly scheduled board meeting. And at this time, if there's any questions, I would be happy to answer them.
I have a question
Sure.
about how IEPs are impacted by the independent study program.
The same requirements would apply for students who are on an IEP who participate in independent study, but the same requirement remains for students who are requesting independent study. An IEP meeting has to be held to determine if the independent study is the appropriate placement for the student who is receiving specialized services. That's a great question. Thank you for asking it.
So since a different grade, they have a different minutes. So who is the coordinator to monitor about the?
That would be the time value of the work that's assigned. So the work that assigned has to be equivalent to approximately for TK through third. It would be, I think it was TK. Yeah, TK through third, approximately 180 minutes worth of student instruction, whether it be asynchronous or synchronous instruction.
So the principal or
The
someone.
teachers, the teachers, yes, yes. And if it's long-term independent study, it would be the person that would be coordinating or overseeing the long-term independent study program.
Any more question? Okay. Let's go to the last agenda 12 action item A. Resolution number 10, ethnic study, Dr. Nina Ritter.
Thank you, President Chang. Tonight, I'm also pleased to present to the board Resolution number 10 in support of ethnic studies implementation. In October 2021, Governor Newsom signed Assembly Bill 101, making California the first state to require ethnic studies in high school. Per Assembly Bill 101, all California school districts must offer a high school ethnic studies curriculum semester course by the 25-26 school year, with students in the class of 2030, the graduating class of 2030, being the first one subject to the ethnic studies course graduation requirement. So that would begin with the incoming 9th grade students in 26-27. Resolution number 10 formally acknowledges the district's commitment to providing exemplary opportunities for all students without regard to race, gender, ethnicity, nationality, income, or disability, and directly supports the district's shared goals of equity and inclusivity, which will further prepare its students to be thoughtful, informed, and compassionate citizens. It is aligned with the district's mission, preparing students for success in an increasingly diverse and interconnected world, further nurturing a deeper understanding of the contributions, histories, and experiences of all community. This resolution also affirms the district's commitment to fostering diverse and inclusive educational opportunities through the integration of an ethnic studies course into a 10th grade English course curriculum beginning in the 25-26 school year. This evening, it is recommended that the board take action to approve resolution number 10 as presented.
Move to approve.
Okay, any second?
Second.
Okay, roll call. Mr. Song,
Aye.
Mrs. Ryan,
Aye.
Mrs. Gill.
I just have a quick comment too. I really like the integration approach with the English. I think that is just going to be very successful. So thank you for going in that direction. Aye.
Mr. Chen, aye, and the student board member, Mr. Ta.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next 12B, approval of a legal service agreement with French Law Group for purpose of ensuring pricing litigation. Dr. Jason Rose.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Speak louder.
Okay. All right. Thank you and good evening, President Chang, Board of Education, Superintendent Dr. Delatorre, Executive Cabinet, and Student Member Ta. France Law, in conjunction with the F3 Law Group, is commencing litigation on behalf of various school districts against insulin manufacturers to address the inflated prices of insulin and the unfair and deceptive trade practices. The insulin pricing mass action lawsuit alleges that defendants have artificially inflated the price of insulin and engaged in unfair and deceptive trade practices at the expense of self-funded health plans and their members and beneficiaries. It is important to note that France Law and F3 have agreed to represent all school districts who elect to join the insulin pricing mass action lawsuit on a contingent fee basis. This means that there is no cost to the school district unless there is a monetary recovery. It is recommended that the board authorize the approval of a legal services agreement with France Law Group for the purpose of insulin pricing litigation.
Thank you. Any question?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, a roll call. Mr. Song.
Aye.
Mrs. Ryan,
Aye.
Mrs. Gill,
Aye.
Mr. Chen, aye. Student board member, Ms. Ta.
Aye.
Motion carry. Thank you. Okay, last agenda, board superintendent discussion item.
I have a very important announcement to make. It was President Chang's birthday recently. And so we want to make sure that we take note of that because it's very rare that we get to celebrate his birthday in person with him. He's usually away because it's during winter break that this happens or professional development day. So we bought a cake and we want to sing happy birthday to you. So 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday to you. Cha cha cha. Happy birthday to you. Cha cha cha. Happy birthday, dear Joseph.
President Chang,
Happy birthday to you.
and many more. Big smiles.
Cha cha cha.
Cha-cha. I love it.
Is it 20 years old?
21. He's 21.
Two candle in there.
21, yeah.
Okay, blow it out with the plate, with the plate. No!
Oh my God.
Oh.
Let's not start another.
Yeah.
We have enough fires right now.
Good Lord.
Okay, so I just felt that that was really important to get that out of the way at the end of the meeting. We want to wish you a happy birthday and many, many, many more. Thank you for your leadership during this time. And I also wanted to note that the last time you were president, we had a major pandemic. And now that you're president, we're having
All right. Well,
Yeah.
she's gonna move in now.
But you're good at crisis management, President.
I don't want to say, oh, I'm always deal with disaster, but I say I'm the public health, the poor
That's right.
reinforcement.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
very good
thank
at
you.
this. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, with that, thank you so much. Actually, you know, my birthday is
Was Monday.
rare to celebrate because when I work hospital, because the people they are still in vacation, yeah. So this very official, yeah. And occasion for
Great.
me, yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, if we don't have anything to discuss during the board superintendent discussion, so then the meeting adjourned.
Okay, so please stay for a piece of cake before you leave the cake.